topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Hi, I'm Shelby Wagner, host of Learning to Dance in the Rain, a podcast that brings you conversations about dealing with difficult and tough times and bouncing back to better times and more enjoyable life. It's called resilience, learning to be resilient. And I'm the author of a book called Learning to Dance in the Rain. Surviving Grief, Internet Dating, and Romance Scams, and a second book called Scams. And this is how I got going on this my podcast, was to tie in some of the things that I had learned when I was writing my book. Today's guest, I'm very happy to tell you about, is Annie Rettic, and she's an author, speaker, a storyteller, and a lifelong musician. She studied classical singing at Northwestern University in Illinois, and she reinvented herself afterwards and got back to the land and started doing folk music, bluegrass music, and Irish music, some Celtic music. So I'm very happy to introduce her today as an author of a book called Gratitude, A Path to Grace, and we're going to talk about that and her experiences. Come on out, Annie, and join me on Learning to Dance in the Rain. Hello there. How are you?
I'm so fine and happy today, and just happy to be here in the middle of a snowstorm.
Oh, it's snowing up there. We're in Michigan, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
And it is snowing here too. I have a dentist appointment after I get through here, but I don't think I'm going to go. There's a lot of snow out there.
Yes, I'm canceling 24 hours in advance.
Well, I don't know what I have. Well, that would be better than having an accident on the way.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So tell us more about yourself. How did you get involved in writing, and how did you get involved in your music?
I got involved in writing during the pandemic. I had been in music I took viola lessons when I was 10 and kept on with that. And then I took singing lessons and went to music school and got a degree in classical singing. And right in the middle of that, I heard folk music in a dorm, in the dorm on somebody's stereo. And I went, Joni Mitchell, oh my God. All I had ever heard was top 40, So I fell in love with that. And I decided I didn't want to be singing beautiful music, as beautiful as it was, in other languages. And I didn't want to stand on stage and just sing. This was before subtitles. When you would go to an opera, you just had to absorb the music. And I wasn't there anymore. I fell in love with folk music, and then I went back to the land. And I did that for decades and raised some kids, and just all the while I was developing and learning about roots music. It was just a very, very slow reinvention. And it was, and then during the and I started doing keynote concerts. I went into a mastermind where we were musicians as songwriters tell stories. So I got I thought, well, this is good, because he said, why not be a speaker? And then you just, you're a storyteller. You tell a story, you sing a song that illustrates the point. So this was before the pandemic, and I was doing that. And then the pandemic happened, and I couldn't get into any of those places. So I found rooms in Clubhouse and Zoom, and I fell into, I had already been writing about gratitude, writing songs. My lyrics were all about how good life was. And we can go into how actually how I found gratitude. But this is like just a quick synopsis, is that after I found gratitude and started writing songs, all of my songs, most of them were about how good my life was. And then I got an email, or somehow I got on somebody's list about a community book project, 365 Days of Gratitude.
Oh.
And okay, this is a no-brainer. I can't go into venues. I sing and talk about gratitude. So I did an essay in that book, and that led to my book, Gratitude, A Path to Grace, with that same editor. And then, things just progressed from there. And so here I am.
I was glad to meet you when we were in Niles, Michigan, at the district library for sell your book and your CDs. We happened to be right next to each other. That was a fun day, and it was full of snow, wasn't it? Or was it?
Yes, it was. Yeah,
the snow. I think so too. So
we made it. I actually had some neighbors come down and shovel out my driveway, because the guy next door wasn't going to plow the driveway. He has a plow, but he wasn't coming out. And I said, this was the night before, and I thought, oh, it's snowing. I have to get to this sale, this book sale. And so I asked them to do me a huge favor. I couldn't even walk hardly. After I saw you at the book sale, my legs just got worse.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so I wasn't going to get out there and shovel my driveway. But I thought, well, I've got to get to this book sale. I knew something momentous was going to happen. But lo and behold, so my sweet neighbors, and I hope she's on right now, Carla Kelly, I love you.
Yeah.
Carla Kelly Near. She and her husband came down. They couldn't even get out their own driveway, so they brought their shovels and shoveled my driveway out. Another proof that God gives me what I need when I need it, and he always has my back. And I have the best friends in the world.
That's very good. I've lived here 7 years, and I don't know my neighbors. I don't know my next door neighbor at all. Either one of them. I met a couple across the street from me, but I thought, wow, what is this? Because I knew I'd known my neighbors in Oxford when I lived over there in Auburn Hills, and when we moved to Tennessee and when we retired. But I don't know what's going on, but I keep busy. So maybe it's my fault. I'm just too busy with all my activities, and I don't, I did go out a couple of times to meet them, but that's all. But anyway, so what, I was listening to your CD, Heartstrings, I think it is. I left it in the kitchen. And I was very happy to hear listen to the comments that you had put about each song at the end of them. And especially the first one was Stay the Day. No.
Save the Day, yes.
Save the Day. And then when I listened to the commentary about it, Well, you tell us about the commentary of that, because I think you're going to sing that song for us, aren't you?
Yes, I am. And I sort of forgot what I
Oh,
wrote.
you forgot what you said. Well,
But
what is it
I'll
that
make
you-
it up now.
Okay, go ahead.
This is the commentary from a perspective years after it came out. There was a songwriting exercise in San Diego, and
I think I
this
was-
person named Catherine Beeks, I guess she took it over from someone else before I ever got to San Diego. And she would put a title out online, and those of us who wanted to write a song with that as the title or those words in it would write one. And we had usually about 6 weeks, and then we would all meet in person because this was before the pandemic, and we would sing our songs. And it was just, just such a spark to hear what other people found, to write about in those same lyrics. And all the songs were so different. And it was just, it was wonderful. And a lot of the songs, I'd say the majority of the songs on that Heartstrings album are from that songwriting game. And
go ahead.
So, so Save the Day. I thought about Oliver, the musical, where he sings a song called Who Will Buy, who will buy this wonderful morning? Who will tie it up with a ribbon and put it in a box for me? And I thought, save the day. That's what I want to do. I want to save these wonderful days. But I found a different way to save them. And I don't put them in a box. I did something else with them. And so if now is a good time to sing the song, then I'm ready. I'll just take a sip of my delicious green tea with lemon balm in it.
Is this your ukulele that you're playing?
It is. I guess you can't really see it in the picture. I don't, maybe I need to be, I don't know. No, then you can't see my head. Well, here we go. Okay, Save the Day. To the sound of the ocean, pounding on the beach 5 blocks away. It made me feel so cozy in my little cottage as I rose to greet another brand new day. I walked into the yard, felt the sun upon my face, and thanked the serendipity that led me to this place. Save the day, don't let it slip away, don't let it fade into the past. Keep this bliss forever in my heart. That's the way to make it last. Save the day. Strolling down Newport, past the shop windows, on my daily walk to the sea. People smile and wave as we pass on the street. They're happy to be here, just like me. Before I came here, nothing could compare to the energy I feel when I breathe the salty air. save the day. Don't let it slip away. Don't let it fade into the past. Keep this bliss forever in my heart. Find a way to make it last. Save the day. Now the end of the day. I watch the sun slide down into the sea as each leaf fades into the night. It is a jewel, unique in its beauty. Watching them unfold, my soul takes flight. I've seen 1,000 sunsets since I came to Ocean Beach. With each one I'm reminded that my dreams within my reach. I keep them in a scrapbook in the corner of my mind, to be taken and looked at when the world seems too unkind. So I'll save each day, so they can't slip away. They'll never fade into the past. I'll keep this bliss forever in my heart. That's the way to make it last. It saves the day. It saves the day. I'll save the day.
Oh, thank you so very much. That transports me to the beach, away from all the snow and cold.
Yes.
I was
Well,
reminded.
I'm wearing a scarf that does the same thing. It's
Oh,
my
is that
favorite
right?
scarf. It's called Under the Waves.
Oh,
I actually bought it as a reward to myself when I gave my first keynote in somebody's yard. It was a
oh.
potluck, and I decided I was gonna reward myself.
Mhm.
So I had seen the scarf in the window.
It's beautiful colors.
Yes,
Beautiful
all my
colors.
favorite colors: the turquoise, the lavenders, the purples, all the different shades of aqua,
Of
and
the water. The water is always a different color. It's amazing. I was standing on a high hill in Guam many, many, many years ago and looking out at the water. And gosh, there were at least 4 different colors of the water and then the sky above it. It was just very amazing. But yeah, I was transported to some of my memories of when I was in Hawaii. You said you bought your ukulele in Hawaii.
I did.
Yeah,
Yes.
I bought mine in Hawaii too. Many years ago, many years ago. But I played it for a while, and I'll take it out once in a while. But I'm not nearly ready to play it for anybody else.
Well, I wanted to get a ukulele because my hands are very small, and I know how to play guitar, but when I write a song, it's just I don't do the normal 1-4-5 progression with. I throw some chords in there. My brain goes other places. And when I started out, I wanted to be different. I didn't want my songs to sound like everybody else.
Mhm.
And I had all the theory and all that stuff from being in music school. And so but I couldn't play stuff like a diminished, and I certainly couldn't play bar chords
Mhm.
on my guitar. And so the first thing I did was I built a dulcimer, because also I thought, well, I'll never be a great guitar player. I'm 20 years old. I can't sound like Joni Mitchell, but she
Mhm.
plays dulcimer. So I bought a kit for $20.
Oh, really?
First and only time I ever used tools.
Uh-huh.
And that dulcimer sits in my daughter's house right now, about a mile and a half from here. It was so I built that dulcimer, and then I started doing covers, and eventually I wrote songs. But I was
So
covering Cat Stevens and Joni Mitchell and James Taylor, anything that sounded good on a dulcimer.
it was it was exciting to see these names of these people that I used to uh, follow also.
Yeah.
Uh, in fact, Joni Mitchell and her parking lot
Oh,
song was
yes.
one of my favorites at the time.
Hmm.
Yeah, but I taught school. I don't know if she would appreciate me saying this, but I taught school with a former mother-in-law of hers.
Oh,
She was shortly married. I don't think the
yes.
marriage lasted
Oh,
very long. That first one, and that's where she got the name Mitchell, though. It was
yes.
yeah.
And she
I
kept
the
it.
kindergarten teacher was Mrs. Mitchell. She was her mother for a short time, but so that was exciting. How do you start? How do you write a song? Do you start with the
Mm.
words, or do you start with music, or do they come both together at the same time?
I sometimes I have a tune, but most often I start with the words, and a lot of my songs start with a chorus. That seems to be where my mind goes first, maybe
Mhm.
because of the songwriting game, and that is often where you want the hook, would be in the chorus, the
Uh-huh.
quote hook. But the first song I wrote, called Bottom of the Well, which is not on my Heartstrings CD, but it's the first song I wrote, which I talk about in my book, how it came to me. I took it to Nashville. I went to the Songwriters Symposium, with my friend, Sweet Joyce Ann, aka Joyce Martin, and I took the song to a critique, and they basically said, "You did everything wrong. You buried the hook. Your rhythm is way off." I had uh, like phrases that had like 10 instead of 8 measures. It was just like, I don't know, but it worked, because all of the people that I'd been playing songs with and backing them up in San Diego, uh, whom I met at songwriting open mics and things,
Mhm.
they all liked it. And so I taught it to them, and then I just started playing fiddle on it. And that started with a chorus. Goes, well, it doesn't pay to hurry when your mind is in a flurry and your heart is full of worry about things that haven't even happened yet.
Oh, I
Take
like that.
time to look around you. Your life's richness will astound you. Get your feet back on the ground before you do something you really will regret. And then the song goes on about all these things that happened to me on the way out to San Diego,
Mhm.
that were sort of misadventures. And then, but the actual title of the song comes in the third verse from a Chinese fortune that I drew out of my Chinese meal when I stopped on the way out to San Diego. It said,
Mm.
um, "The sky seems small when looked at from the bottom of a well." Now, to me, that immediately meant look at the big picture. Don't get caught up, in details. And so it inspired the song. So anyway, that's how that song got written. The songwriting, the game that's a lot where a lot of my songs came from, a lot of them. So I'm not really a prolific songwriter, and I haven't written one in well, let's see, last one I wrote, I don't know, maybe a decade. But I finally got an idea for a new song this year, so I think I'm going to be writing it again.
Well, very good, very good. So that kind of leads into the question I was going to ask last, which what's next for you? You've got the speaker, you've got your storytelling, you've got your songwriting and singing, and
Yeah.
what's the future hold, do you think?
Well, I'm writing a podcast. It's a limited edition podcast, and it's called Grow Your Gratitude. And it's about the different aspects of gratitude and how they affect our lives, just beyond like writing 3 things in a journal every day, which is what I still do. But there are so many more ways that you can practice gratitude. And I talk about grounding, for instance. And it's just, and it affects every aspect of our health, really. So I think what I'm going to be doing is searching and trying to go with my message of gratitude onto summits about functional and alternative medicine and healing, and connect with healers. I know a few, and I think that my keynote about gratitude, where I would come on and tell my gratitude stories and stories of forgiveness, and then sing songs about them, would fit very well on those, because gratitude and forgiveness are both healing things that we need more of.
So, what connection do you see between being grateful and forgiveness?
So, for one thing, I see them as really interlocked. You, first of all, when you are in the present moment, or when you are in gratitude and in the present moment, you are not in regret about the past or worry about the future. Also, I feel that now I'm sort of at a loss for words, but so I'm probably going to ramble a little bit here. But I remember a quote from Oprah Winfrey that forgiveness is recognizing that you can't change anything about the past. And I'm misquoting badly here, but if you are regretting the past, then you have to love yourself, and you have to forgive yourself. That's the connection, that you must be able to forgive yourself and loving yourself, and they are inseparable. And only when you can forgive yourself, then you can forgive anybody else and anything that you did in the past, and any actions that you or anyone else took. And you recognize that it's everything that happened to you brought you to where you are today. And then you are in the present moment, and you have everything that you need in that moment. So when I have moments where I get out of the present moment, I breathe, and I have a mantra basically, which is, I'm on God's time. And it came to me when I was on a trip and thinking I had to be on someone else's time. And signs showed me that if I were where I was thinking I was going to be, I would have been in a snowstorm or I would have been hit by a tornado. So I came up with the mantra, I'm on God's time. And I've been able to, forgiveness of myself. Sometimes I still, something will happen and I'll have to go back there and do that again. It's a process. Martin Luther King said it's a process, and it really is. But you can go to that process, and once you do that, and you are actually loving and you are able to love someone else, and you cannot fully love and or forgive anyone else before you have loved and forgiven yourself. That's I believe is the connection.
Right. In my book, I talk about that we have only one word for love, and it means a lot of different things. But where the Greeks had 7 or 8 of them, and they said the most important of all of them was self-love. And when you first read that, you think, well, isn't that being selfish? But no, we're hardest on ourselves, aren't we? We
Absolutely.
are first critic. And so what we need to do is to turn that around and say, hey, I forgive, I did something wrong, but I forgive myself. I love myself. I'm going to do better.
Yes,
And
we talk to ourselves the way we would not talk to most. If we're a nice person, I mean, we have more love and we talk more lovingly to others than we do to ourselves. It is that, like I said, it's a constant process. I go to a clubhouse room most mornings that's called the Miracle Morning. This is one of the things that got me through the pandemic. We practice the savers, and they are silence, affirmation, visualization, exercise, reading, and scribing. And you fill your own. We practice filling our own cup before we fill anyone else. Before we can't actually fill anyone else's cup before we fill our own. If we do not take care of ourselves, then we are not capable of taking care of and giving to others. So that's what I learned during the pandemic, going to that room. And that helped me to be a more loving and kind person to everyone.
I'm taking notes here. And I didn't get all of those. Would you repeat them? I got
sure. It's an acronym. It's an acronym.
So all right. Savers.
S is for silence.
Okay.
A is for affirmations. And, like, I can do hard things. It can be anything that floats your boat.
Right. I can do it. Those, yeah.
Visualization.
Visualization.
Visualization. That used to be the hardest thing for me. But I realize now that I found the house I'm in, which was an absolute miracle, and that's going to be my next book, by visualizing myself in a house for 5 years while I had no home and was shuttling back and forth. Well, I wasn't homeless, but I had no home, and I was shuttling back and forth between Michigan and California, living with family members. I was going on to Clubhouse, and I was doing the visualization, the affirmations, and I got stronger. And then, of course, okay, so that's visualization. Exercise.
Okay, yeah.
Now, I love walking. When I was in California, I went swimming nearly every day. I love the ocean, swimming in the ocean. And I found out later that that is a very, very strong form of grounding.
Mm.
You're grounding when you're in the ocean. All I knew was that when I swam out past the breakers and looked up at the sky, I felt like I was floating on the surface of the big blue marble, and I felt like I was part of everything. It
Mhm.
was just ecstatic. And so that's exercise.
And
And I like
the
walking.
water soothes us too, and
Yeah.
it calms us. And yeah, it's very, it's
So
amazing.
swimming is my favorite, but when I can't do that, I like to walk. I walk every day. And then reading. So reading something that feeds your soul, not reading headlines and scrolling through Facebook. Reading something that actually feeds you. And then scribing, which can be writing down an affirmation, writing down, you're scribing right now.
I
Yeah,
am.
those are the savers. And I do them
Very
every day. Yeah.
uh,
Miracle Morning is the name of the clubhouse, and it's written by, it's after a book by a man named Hal Elrod, who saved his own self really by finding those savers.
huh.
And Elrod, The Miracle Morning.
Oh,
That
morning, MOR, and then okay.
Yeah. Let me see if I can find the book, because I know okay. So here's the book.
Oh, Miracle Morning. Okay. And
Yes.
Conrad. Yeah, I've got that. Okay. Very good. Very nice. Okay, let's back up a little bit to your writing or to um, a tough time in your life. What led you to get into the gratitude? Or, I mean,
Yeah.
something bad happened to you, right?
Yeah, a couple of bad things actually. um,
Okay.
I lost control of my health. I, having gone back to the land, we grew. My husband and I, we grew a huge organic garden. We planted fruit trees. We raised our kids that way. We had chickens. We had goats. I milked the goats. We had turkeys. One Thanksgiving, everything that we had on our table came from our land. And the turkey was so big that I couldn't even get it out of the oven. I had to have help, you know. Um, so I went from thinking that I had this was my role in life, right? I was I was responsible for my family's well-being. And then one day and I was playing music, and I thought I was on top of the world, and I was like uh, in control of everything. And uh, during one of my performances, I had this terrible pain. It was felt like someone was stabbing me, and it turned out that I had I had an acute appendicitis.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know the pain could be in your back. That's where it was. I thought it was the flu, and I had my appendix out. And they did it with the laparoscopy, and then I got adhesions 3 weeks later, and I had a operation where they actually had to cut me open and pull everything out and put it back.
Oh, my.
So here's my faith that if I do everything right, I
Mm-hmm.
can control my health. Well, I couldn't. And
Mm-hmm.
I was weak as a kitten. And then during the time that I was in the hospital, I realized that my husband no longer loved me. I had not been working on that relationship. I had done some things that I couldn't fix. And I tried for 3 years to fix it, and it didn't work. My appendix happened in 2001, and in 2004, I got a divorce. And then for 3 years, or 2 years, I just felt totally lost. And then my mom called me and said, "How would you like to come out here and live with me? I love your cooking, and I want to stay where I am, and I'll do the dishes." So I came out and lived with her, and I had, I was still in grief, and every morning I would wake up wondering, how am I going to support myself? What am I going to do? And I slowly started realizing that, hey, I'm in San Diego, it's December, and it's not snowing. All I have to do is walk to the beach. I am living with the person who loves me the most in the entire world. And I started replacing the scary thoughts with the good thoughts. It took, it was an actual effort at first, and it was a muscle that grew. And gradually, I started getting out of bed and writing them down. And that's how the whole gratitude writing started. And it led to writing a book. It led to writing songs about gratitude. It led to the whole shebang, but that's how it started.
I see. Wow.
So your worst, what turned out to be, I thought, the worst thing that ever happened to me ended up with me getting to tuck my mother in it every night. So, yeah, that's when I really realized how lucky I was.
So what motivated you to come back to Michigan? How do you leave that beautiful weather?
Yeah. Well, I ran out of money.
Oh.
Right. Before the pandemic, I already had pretty much run out of money. And when pandemic hit, I had already asked my brother. I had come back to San Diego to try to start over. And I asked my brother if I could live with him. And he said yes. And then the pandemic, just when I had made contact with the person in Orange County who placed everyone in that county in assisted living and retirement facilities. And I thought, this is it. This is the golden ticket. I've made it. And then the pandemic happened. And I just wasn't able to get that going at all. And so I ended up coming back to Michigan and living with my daughter for a while. And then I got enough money by selling some land that my ex and I still owned after 14 years of divorce. We couldn't sell that. So I made that happen, that we sold the land. With that money, I got a down payment for a house, which I could afford here, but never could I have afforded that there. And my family is here. Both my kids are here and my grandchildren. So yeah, that's why I came back. Yeah, even now I'm looking out here and I'm going, I'm safe. I love my home. I'm warm. I have food in my larder. I don't need anything. I don't need to go anywhere. I'm so lucky.
And I'm looking, the sun's trying to come out right now. It was snowing when we started, but I see, it's getting brighter, I think, out here.
Yeah, this is where I belong, But San Diego, the years that I spent there, they also made me who I am. And I treasure them. And I have wonderful friends back there. And thank God the fires aren't near them. But they, I have friends, who are near them, near the fires. So,
yeah, we need a lot of prayer to help them. I don't It's really a shame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every area in the country has its weather issues.
Hmm.
There are none that don't. I
Yeah.
remember my niece, who was raised in California, was scared to death of tornadoes, you know, and my nephew, who grew up in California, thought he wanted to go to Indiana University down in Bloomington to study voice, and he got in. And after one semester, he came home because that was the year that every single snowstorm bypassed us and went right down to southern Indiana. And he just, I've had it. I'm coming home. So, you learn to live with what you're given
Right.
with the bad.
Right.
I love Michigan.
Uh-huh. Oh, I love it in the summer, but I'm not very happy right now with the with
Well,
the
my
snow.
dream actually would be to be able to travel in the winter, go back to San Diego, and do shows there with all of my friends, and I will make that happen.
Hmm. Well, I heard you told me a couple of weeks ago that you were performing over in South Bend, Indiana.
Yes.
Where would you like to tell
Oh,
us about?
yeah. So there's a wonderful um, venue called Fiddler's Hearth, which is an Irish restaurant, and they have an open mic, and they have live music also, but they have an open mic every Wednesday. And I used to go there before I went to California. And the former host of it, or the person who, I guess he facilitated it for a while. I think he was the host for a while. His name is Al Canola. He now is on the radio, WVPE Back Porch Sunday nights for 4 hours. Anyway, I got hooked up through him back to the Fiddler's Hearth, and I emailed the person who he connected me with, who hosts it every third Wednesday. They have four different hosts, and I went and I had a great time. And then my friend Joyce came out and joined me for a set back in November when I couldn't even walk. She drove me to every one of my concerts that week. Anyway, we did a 15-minute set. We blew them away. We're in a duo called the Wild Older Women. Not wild old women, wild older women. There's a whole spiel about that, about how she, when she got her AARP card, she said, "I'm not old." You get it when you're 50. So she wrote a song called Wild Older Woman. And I said, we got to name our duo after that. And so we sang that song and a couple of others. And now we're going to now I'm the headliner, which means I get a whole half hour on March 19th, Wednesday, March 19th. Joyce will join me for part of that. So,
Okay.
and it's a Fiddler's Dream. It's at 8:00. 8:00 is our set on March 19th.
Uh-huh.
But the open mic starts at 7, and it's great food, and there are wonderful performers. I just am blown away every time I go.
Do they do all kinds of music or just Celtic music?
All time. A lot of singer-songwriters. There's a harpist who comes sometimes. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. You never know what you're going to get. It's like, who is it? Forrest Gump. You never know what you're going to get. Life is like a box of chocolates.
It's very good.
So come on out, because it's a wonderful venue.
Okay. Well, I guess we're going to have to wrap this up. It's getting close to the end here. I want to thank you for being here with me. And how would my listeners connect with you if they wanted to get your books or set you up with a concert?
Oh, well, is there some way that I can? didn't send you the link to my book on Amazon before the show, but can you
But
put
it
it
is on Amazon, right?
Yes, it's on Amazon. It's
And it's called Gratitude.
Gratitude, A Path to Grace by
Uh-huh.
Annie Rettic.
Okay.
It's available as a Kindle or the soft cover that you showed. It's a short book, but I like to have a book in my hands.
Mhm.
They can send me an email at obrettic@gmail.com. If they would like a song, I will send them a song. So they can email me at obrettic@gmail.com. No capitals. Just
Okay.
OB stands for Ocean Beach.
Very good. So
Yeah,
okay.
everything else, all my other technical stuff is when I was sick, everything fell apart.
Yeah.
So I have to get that going again, but I will.
But you are rebuilding
Yeah,
your
I'm
life, and I love that phrase, rebuilding. That's what I had to do after my husband died. So yeah. So
and I
I'm
have
talking to the audience, and I thank you for being with us today.
Thank
And
you.
I hope you enjoyed the conversation as much as I did, and I hope it will.
Absolutely loved it, Shelby, and I love your book too.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
And I will see all of you people hopefully next Tuesday, same time at noon on Eastern Time. Thank you for being here. And
Thank you, Shelby. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everyone.
Uh-huh.